Welcome back, dreamers. Your host Ken here with some exciting news that I just couldn't wait to share. Somewhere in Dreamland now has an amazing new merch store filled with custom Somewhere in Dreamland hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, pint glasses, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Why not hop on over to dreamlandpodcast.weebly.com and grab yourself or someone else some custom Dreamland gear now.
Danser avec moi. Cordonnier, tu fêtes, qu'est-ce que t'as-t-on dans la tête? C'est que moi.
Welcome back, dreamers. Tonight, my guest is friend of the show, Crystal Kelley from the Upstate South Carolina Paranormal Group. Crystal is a South Carolina folklore and legend historian, a paranormal investigator, and an all-around guru when it comes to anything strange in the great state of South Carolina. Most recently, Crystal has been scouring the Southeast, collecting ghostly tales and stories of mysterious beasts to include in the upcoming release of her new book. So without further ado, grab your blankets, turn down the lights, get comfy, and let's fade away into
Dreamland.
How you been?
I've been pretty good. How about you?
Not too shabby down this way. Thank you so much for coming back on. I'm excited to talk with you. I know you and I chat back and forth quite a bit on Facebook, but it's nice to actually talk to you and hear each other's voices. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's great. It's been a while. I was excited to be able to do this again.
Awesome. So what have you been working on since you've been on the show last?
I told you last time I was working on a book.
Yeah.
And my research has expanded a little ways to like the southeastern states,
Okay.
not just South Carolina,
Awesome.
because I found some really cool stories up like and around in North Carolina, down in Georgia. And I have been emailing. I don't know if you ever listen to country music, but the country music singer Travis Tritt.
Oh, yeah, I know Travis. Well, I don't know him, but I know of him, yes.
Well, I've been emailing.
Oh, I lost you. I just heard you've been emailing him.
Yeah, and I may be able to take a few people and investigate his log cabin down in Georgia.
Oh, really? Is it? It's haunted, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, what kind of activity is he getting?
He believes it's Native American,
Okay.
and blood stains appear and then they'll disappear. Don't know where they come from. Voices in a different language, which he has determined that could be Native American.
Interesting.
And his grandkids are scared to go into the home. It's like a vacation place, but it's in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Okay.
And so we may get to go down there and investigate.
That would be excellent, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
Well, if you do, you're going to have to hit me up and keep me posted and let me know.
If I do, since we, pretty good friends doing this podcast and everything, I will invite you to go.
Oh, awesome. That would be exciting. Heck yeah.
And so you can get a little bit of a feel of what I do.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. Sounds like fun.
Not a problem.
Heck yeah. So the book, where you at with it? I know you've expanded, so it's taken longer.
I've gotten every story that I believe I'm going to write. As of right now, I've got like 75% completely done of the research.
Okay.
And just a couple more little loose ends on research. And then to begin the writing, I've gotten my introduction written. maybe 5 or 6 stories completely done. So it's coming along pretty good. I'm hoping to be done by mid next year.
Now, are you breaking the stories up by chapter? Are they all going to be, or are you putting them in some sort of order? Like, I mean,
it'll be done by chapter because, well, as of right now, I'm beginning to believe I'm going to do like one chapter on cryptids and go through the different states, because a lot of states have the same type of cryptid. Like a lot of states have a Bigfoot, have a chupacabra or something like that. So I think I'm going to do it by category.
Right. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. I know sometimes it's hard to when you have all this information, it's hard to kind of not unpack it, but unfold it as you see it to your readers.
Right, because when I was going through, when I was like, well, I'm going to do it by county, well, some counties didn't have but maybe 1 or 2 stories, while the other had 18 or 20. And I'm like, well, that's going to be kind of boring or not really. It wouldn't look put together good enough for me, so I'm going to do it by category.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like a better plan than I have for my book, because I'm not even writing one. So.
So you're coming along great.
I am. I'm way ahead of you.
You're done. Hey.
Yeah, right. So I see that you've been exploring in Greenwood County.
Yes.
And what'd you find out that way?
There is a place, and it's called the Rock House. It's funny because it's on Rock House Road. And I had read about it and really hadn't thought of anything more about it. But I was down in Greenwood. I was headed to Troy, which is in McCormick County. And I went by and I saw Rock House Road. And I was like, well, I know I've read a story there, so I'm going to drive down that way. It is very secluded. There's hardly anything on this road until you come to this one house. And temperature dropped when we got there.
Ooh.
And we hadn't even got out of the car. But you could see it almost looked like the sky went cloudy.
Interesting.
And, of course, it says no trespassing on there, so I didn't get out and go on the property. But we now have permission to go.
Okay, cool. So there's going to be a plan to go back then?
Yes, there is a plan to go back, and it's the first house in South Carolina to be built to be completely fireproof, because the original house that sat there burnt down and killed the family inside.
Oh,
so the brother of the man that died built this house completely fireproof, but only lived in the kitchen. He had the rest of the house was dedicated to his brother and his brother's family and their heirlooms and everything else, and he only lived in the kitchen until the day he died.
That's a pretty cool story. So what kind of activity are you supposed to get there? Do you know?
You were supposed to be able to smell smoke from a fire. Clearly, it was from the house that was previously there. There's supposed to be a woman in white and a banshee screaming.
Ooh.
So we do have plans on going back. I just got to get, everybody together when they can go.
You don't want to hear that banshee scream, though. That's bad.
No, you don't want to hear that at all.
Well, what else did you see when you were out that way?
There is a church in Greenwood. It is called Rock Presbyterian Church. And couldn't really find a lot about it, but I know that the house beside it is supposedly whatever spirits are in the graveyard go into that house. You can see blue lights. The basement door won't open. After you've opened it and went inside, you can't get it back open.
I think I've heard a little bit about that one. Is that, first of all, I want to say that they are obsessed with naming things rock in Greenwood.
Oh, I know.
And then,
I know.
but isn't that the place where isn't there like a white figure of a man that's been spotted there?
Yeah, in the window, yes.
Okay. And I heard something about singing too. Is there singing?
Yeah, you can hear singing, and supposedly, if you're in the church when nobody's there, you can hear people walking around upstairs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That would be fun. So, what else you got? What else you been looking at?
We went down to Troy, which had there was an Indian massacre back in the 1700s. And John C. Calhoun's grandmother was one of the white settlers that the Native Americans came in and slaughtered. And they're buried in a mass grave there. Now, that place, you have no cell phone signal at all throughout the whole. It's in the Sumter National Forest down there in McCormick County.
Okay, yeah.
And it's a hunting club, so there's a lot of deer hunters. And you have to be careful, but they have an historical marker, and you can walk across this little footbridge to see where they were buried. And you're supposed to be able to hear Indian drums and see lights dancing around in the woods. It's a pretty interesting place for the historical value anyway.
Now, did you see anything when you were there?
No, I didn't. But the time we went before, which was a couple of years ago, we did think we heard drums.
You know, I think you told me about that one. That's a really cool story.
Yeah, because we were sitting there, and you know, it's a personal experience. Can't prove it, but I know I heard drums.
That's pretty awesome. I hear you've been to Molly's Rock too.
Molly's Rock was weird because when you go down the road, you can see the rock, but you're not allowed at all to get up there on the rock because people come in and spray painted and vandalized and everything else.
Of course.
But going down the road on the side of the road, there's about 20 tombstones, and rumored that it's from people who committed suicide.
Huh. Now, what's the story behind the rock? Why is that so significant?
There's a lot of different stories, but the one that stuck in my head, it was an Indian maiden who fell in love with a settler coming into the area. And her father, of course, didn't approve of it. And she jumped off the rock and hit her head, and she died.
Yeah, so. That sounds like a good place to haunt then if you died there, right?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, it's a beautiful place, but, you know, you can tell they haven't got any of the spray paint off, and it's just they've destroyed the rock.
That's terrible, isn't it?
I know. I don't understand people.
I don't either. But they'll never change.
No, because that's why you can't get to Poinsett Bridge in Greenville anymore after dark because people went up there and spray painted the inside of the arch.
Wow.
And it's like the oldest bridge in South Carolina. It was built in 1820 and it's still standing.
Now, did you get to go to Liberty Hall?
I got to go on the outside. They were closed.
What's the story behind that place? Because I hear that's pretty active place. I know there was a couple of maids that are in the bed and breakfast that they put their cart on one end of the hall. They'll go and clean out a room, and the cart's on the opposite end or on a different floor. Ooh.
And water faucets turn on and off by themselves. Toilets will flush. People have seen slaves out on the front lawn. When
you going to check that place out, like for real, like do an investigation
I
there?
Tried to contact them, and I haven't received anything back from them. But they told me, you know, if you want to come and rent a room, that'll be fine. But we don't want anything published if you find any ghosts here.
Wow.
But if I had a haunted bed and breakfast, I would think it would bring more people in.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, that's the thing here that I'm learning about down south. Like it's a mixed bag, but the people that really, really are like true, like have been old school Southern people, they don't want anything to do with that stuff because because they believe it's satanic or you're messing with witchcraft but it's funny. My grandmother, who was a very devout Christian, helped me name my first paranormal group. Oh, that's pretty neat. She told me ghost stories. She was a little different from the rest of the typical Christian person because she had seen it herself. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think you could still be absolutely Christian or even 100% devout in believing that. I mean, Christian people believe in the Holy Ghost, right? That's true, and they mention other stories of people rising from the dead and all this. So, I mean, it's in the Bible. True, very true. What can you tell me about the Hound of Goshen? Oh, wow. I have traveled that road several times, and I've never seen anything. But
back in the 1800s, a man was traveling through Goshen Township. And at the same time he was traveling through with his dog, one of the local people got murdered. And of course, with somebody new coming into town, he was a salesman. They blamed him. He was tried in a barn and hung that same day. Well, the dog grieved itself to death there. They left him hanging. And the dog died there at its feet. And you're supposed to be able to see this white dog, and it'll chase you down this road to Mabinton Township to Ebenezer Church. And when you get to the church gates, they're iron. The dog can't come through. But now Ebenezer Church no longer stands.
Oh, really?
But I found where it's at, and there's a memorial plaque to the church. But its iron gates are gone, so if anybody sees us and it's chased, the dog can go wherever it wants to now. On that property.
You're in trouble then. You're shit out of luck, aren't you?
Exactly.
I know that is a huge story down here in South Carolina. The Hound of Goshen is like one of the biggest ghost stories.
Well, you know, one of our governors, Strom Thurmond, saw the Hound of Goshen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in one of the books he had written about the South. And he had a little excerpt about ghost stories, and he talked about seeing the Hound of Goshen.
When was the last time that you know of that's been actually seen?
From the research I've done, I think the last time that it was seen was 2012.
All right. And then
but
who
that
knows?
Doesn't mean somebody hasn't seen it.
Exactly. Who knows how many people have seen it, just didn't make it into any of the headlines, or even how many people have seen it and not said anything, you know?
Right.
Cool.
Okay, funny. You know, I told you I'm sitting out here in my car talking, so there's no noise.
Yeah.
There's a coyote standing about 5 feet from my car.
It's the Hound of Goshen.
It's looking right at me. I'm like, hello, I'm not getting out right now. You're right there.
What a coincidence. That's really strange.
It is kind of strange.
Oh,
I didn't tell you the story from 2 weeks ago, did I, about seeing what I think is Bigfoot?
no, but there has been a rash of Bigfoot sightings in South Carolina over the last 3 months.
Right. There is a road that's maybe a quarter of a mile from my house.
Okay.
That I travel quite often. And I was going to visit my mom, and there's a little watershed, which was been there since the Civil War. And I smelled this horrible, horrible smell. And I couldn't figure out. Well, I looked, rolled down my window so I could try to see a little bit better, because I stopped right there on this little bridge. And I know I seen something walking through the woods that was maybe about 8 foot tall. Wow. And it was on 2 legs.
Yeah, I know the upstate has just been riddled with them over the last, since really late September. It's just really been, I've been following it as much as I can. And
right.
I know that we've had quite a rash of sightings.
Yeah, we really have.
I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's...
I don't know. I've tried to figure out, I don't know if it's some type of shift in the Earth's axis or something. I don't know.
Yeah, or maybe they just are migrating down this way because the weather's a little bit warmer.
That is quite possible, and maybe just now people are deciding to talk about it. I don't know.
Plus, I think that it helps that right now, I know in my area it isn't so much, but if I go up to even Columbia, the amount of leaves that aren't on the trees, I think that makes a difference. You can see better. You can see things, what's going on a little bit better in the forest.
Right. Yeah.
But I know down here we don't lose very many leaves down that
y'all
way.
have a lot of pine trees down that way.
Tons of them.
Yeah.
Tons of them, for sure. So what about West End Cemetery? Have you checked West End out?
I did, and I actually posted pictures on my page. We went, and supposed to be the bride of West End. she was waiting for her fiance to come pick her up to go to the wedding, and he had gotten killed. And she didn't die that same day, but she died shortly after. But you're supposed to be able to see her sitting in a tree there at the cemetery or walking in the field, and there's tons of cotton fields right beside the cemetery. And it was a pretty cool place. It's right beside a school, though. So I didn't stay too long because I didn't want people at school to think, this is suspicious character.
Never know these days, do you?
No, because, school shootings are like once a week, it seems like.
Right. So did you guys find anything, get anything while you're there?
No. I got beautiful pictures of the cotton fields in the cemetery, but other than that, no.
Right.
Now, when we went down to Molly's Rock, my mother is a complete and total skeptic. And she wanted to go on a road trip with me, so I took her, and we were driving down through that Molly's Rock area. And she looked at me, and she said, "You may think I'm crazy." She said, "But I just seen a woman." She walked across the road. She had on a white long gown, and it was tattered. It wasn't bloody, but you could tell she had been in some type of fight with something.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I told her, I said, "Well, Mama, I don't think you're crazy. Why are we down here? We're hunting stuff. But you can't get out down there at Molly's Rock right now at the picnic area because wild hog season."
Yeah.
And there's signs everywhere, "Do not get out of your car. This land is baited." So you can't get out.
That's scary. Those things are nasty, too.
Yeah, we have them in my woods. Where I live, I have woods that's in my backyard. And there's a barbecue place that sets traps out, and that's what their barbecue comes from, is the wild pigs.
Heck yeah.
It's good, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's good eating, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, have you been to the old Piedmont Highway?
I have rode down it.
Okay.
There is a old Baker's Chapel. It was an old school, but it's some type of business now. Supposedly there's a ghost around that area of Old Piedmont Highway.
Yeah, I heard something about it. It chases cars sometimes, or lights follow cars. Okay.
Yeah, it's about maybe 5 miles from my house. And my cousin used to work right off of Old Piedmont Highway.
Okay. So have you been on any investigations since you've been on the show last?
We have not. We had planned on having one on Halloween. But my uncle passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And, he drowned unexpectedly. It was an accident. He fell into his pond in his backyard and drowned.
Oh, no, I'm sorry to hear about that.
And so none of us were in the mood because it was a big shock.
Obviously. Yeah, for sure.
But I do have an investigation up in a town called Greer. And we're supposed to go up there within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
She's supposed to get back to me and let me know when they'll be able to have their kids somewhere else, because they have like 8 kids in the house. So it can be quiet.
Right.
So we don't have any, "Oh, did you hear that on there?" And it was a kid crying or a kid talking or something. So.
Yeah. I had a pretty interesting experience on the USS Yorktown not too long ago.
Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah, so I was going through with two of my sons, and one was ahead of me and one was behind me, and we're walking through, and I've been on that 3 times now. I get I don't know how to explain it. I think I'm an empath, a bit of an empath, because I think that I can pick up on energies.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'm a psychic or a medium or anything like that, but I can usually tell like a big shift in the atmosphere or in the air or something like that, and something's not right. Well, I got that feeling when I was walking through, and didn't quite feel dizzy, and I almost felt like the boat was moving in the water, which is almost impossible. You cannot feel those big ass boats in the water.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
No. So that's kind of what I felt like. Well, at that point, I got kind of weird, and I remember like stopping, or not, I didn't stop, but I remember taking it in and thinking, well, that's a weird feeling. And then the older of my two boys took a right, and I heard hey behind me, and I stopped and I turned around, and nobody was there, not even my younger son. And I'm like, whoa, like this is weird. And then I thought I heard hey again behind me, and I turned around again, and no one was there. Empty hallway. And then
that's awesome.
Then I hear my the younger of my two boys yell for me. He's like, Dad. And I'm like, okay. So I start following him. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing. I just got lost. He said, I stopped for a second to look at the cafeteria, and you guys left, he said, and I didn't notice that you left. And I said, did you say hey? And he said, no. He said, I just now noticed you guys were gone. So I yelled for you. And I was like,
wow.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm a terrible dad. Like I left my kid there. But no, it was creepy. It creeped me out. It had a real good creep factor. And I told them about it, and they got all excited, of course. And
right.
then,
Is this the Yorktown? Is that the one that's in Charleston Harbor, right?
Yep. That's the one. Yep.
Okay.
And it was I've had a couple of weird feelings there, but I've never had anything like that happen.
Right.
But yeah, I've had that same feeling there though, where I felt like almost like the boat was moving. And I'm like, that's weird. It feels like I'm moving, but hell, I don't even think those things really move when they're out in the water too much, you know, like when they're
and
moving.
if they do, it's not very fast.
No, not at all. But it was kind of almost like a vertigo feeling, but not as strong.
Kind of swimmy headed a little bit.
Yeah. Just not, it wasn't super strong. Like I've had that same feeling like super strong before. And this time it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like well, that was weird. You know, that was a weird feeling.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. And then we went to the old jail there in Charleston.
The Old Charleston Jail?
Yep, we did that. We went there, and my kids got terrified.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because at one point, the lights went out on us, like all the lights, the exit lights and everything.
Oh, wow.
And even the guide that was with us on this little tour was like, okay, we've had some weird stuff happen here before, but nothing like this. Those exit lights, the exit lights went out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he said, those things aren't supposed to go out. They're battery powered. But when that happened, the older of my two boys that were with me swears that he saw a shadow. And I don't know, he got his camera out and was trying to take pictures and do all kinds of stuff. So it was a pretty eventful trip for us.
That sounds like it. Did you not get to go down to Fort Sumter?
No, we did. Well, we've been to Fort Sumter, but we didn't go that actual time. We did a little ghost tour, and then we did the haunted jail thing and the Yorktown. The Yorktown, you know, here's the thing about the Yorktown, and I'll tell anybody that goes to the Yorktown. There's the submarine that's there, and then there's the whole Vietnam experience, and take everything else out of the equation and go on the Yorktown. You might as well figure for about 6 hours. You're going to be on that boat for about 6 hours to make it through.
Oh yeah.
Because it is, you don't realize just how large that thing is until you get in there and you're standing next to 22 planes, 22 fighter jets that are on this thing, you know, on the inside of this thing. And then there's more on top. It's massive, man.
Oh yeah. I went there, I guess probably about 25 years ago. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah. It's a really neat experience. Like, I'm a history nerd anyway, so I like stuff like that. And then you throw in the possibility of, you know, I think nearly every ship that's been through any type of war has some sort of ghost story attached to it. And,
there would have to be. There would have to be.
Yeah, and it makes it exciting. I mean, my kids loved it, and we had a great time. So,
Well, that's good. So your boys like the ghost stuff as well?
oh yeah, they like that. See, 3 of them really like it. The other 2, they could take it or leave it. So
Yeah. My kids are into it big time. They both investigate with me.
that's awesome. Yeah, the 3 that are interested in it would in a heartbeat, absolute heartbeat. So
Yeah. Well, that's really cool, though.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoy it because I'm with them, of course, but they, everything else is just a plus after that. But
Right. It's a family time. It's all an experience, and you get to learn more stuff as well.
I'm trying to get my wife to go on the Yorktown with me, but stuff like that, it doesn't really interest her.
Yeah.
But, and then I was talking with, who the heck was I talking? Kitty Janus, who's a paranormal investigator and author out in California, who lives next to the Queen Mary and has been on it so many times it isn't funny.
Yeah.
And I was actually telling her, my wife, even going to like Charleston and some places here where we live, the older buildings, when she goes in, it almost makes her sick. She gets big time like vertigo and swimmy, and to the point where her stomach hurts. And,
oh, wow.
And she just feels like she's going to get sick and she has to leave. And, when I was talking to Kitty was telling me about this investigation that she was on and how, excuse me, and how she's had a couple of researchers go into this place and that same thing happened to them. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, you mean they get, swimmy feeling and vertigo and sick to their stomach? And she said, yeah. And I explained to her how my wife does. Like, there's an old like record store down here that we go in. She will not go in there. She won't go. She says it feels like the floor is falling out from under her. And Kitty said, yeah, she's probably feeling those energies. She's probably a big time empath,
And she probably would be quite susceptible to getting something attached to her as well.
Yeah. And she's really funny about that too. Excuse me. Even with my show, she's like, don't be bringing any of that stuff in my house. Don't be bringing it. So, cause she believes in some of it, but a lot of it, she just rolls her eyes at me. You know what I mean? But some of it she does. Like, I had talked with Patrick Meekin, and I don't know if you heard that episode or not, but
I did. I tried to listen to all of them.
I had a really, really strange experience while editing his episode. And
oh, really?
Yeah. I'm in my man cave, which is my garage here. One night, it's about 2 a.m, and I got the garage door open and I just got my headphones on and I'm going to town editing. And I get to this point where he's talking about this house, and right in between, there's a little break of silence. And I said something. I can't remember quite what I said, but right before I said something really, really like with a really deep voice, definitely not my voice, definitely not his voice, said, Jesus Christ, right over top of me.
Wow.
And let me tell you what, I heard that in my headphones and I'm like, what? So, my man cave here, I got a nice little setup here. I built a bar out here and I have a couple TVs and it's all LED lighted out, And I heard that and I'm like, well, there goes the lights, turning them lights on. So I'm going to turn the lights on.
I don't know who just said Jesus Christ, but I want to see them when they do it again.
Yeah, it freaked me out though. I went through this thing with a fine tooth comb. I literally isolated both of our voices out because they're on 2 separate tracks. I was trying to find where the sound's coming from, and it was on my recording and not on his recording. and there was no one in the room with me. No one, absolutely no one. And it blew my mind. And I told my wife about that, and she's like, well, looks like you're done with the podcast. That's it. We're not doing that anymore. Like, so I'm like, wait a minute, you don't believe in all this stuff. She goes, well, now I do. So you're not doing this anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I've had a couple of weird experiences since starting the show, like with guests and things like that. And it like, I like them. I think it's fun. Like, it's exciting to me when something like that happens, but I'm a weirdo too, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, I'm the same way. You know, it's like, oh, well, did you not just see that? And they're like, no, I didn't see nothing. Well, I'm all excited because I know I seen something. And the person beside me like, you're crazy. No, I'm not. I seen it.
I think,
or I heard it.
I think that for the most part, in the deeper I dig into this, Crystal, this is just my theory, but I think, of course, everything is connected. We're talking Bigfoot and paranormal and UFOs. I think everything's connected in one way or another, even human beings with that.
Right.
But in my personal theory, and from starting the show, my opinion on so many things have changed. I think that these things are personal experiences meant for someone. So you could go to the West End Cemetery 10,000 times, you know, and never see anything. But the one time you're there, you're meant to see something, and it's meant to be a personal experience. And you may have 5 people with you that don't see the same thing you did, but that's all right because it wasn't meant for them.
Right.
I mean, how do you feel about that theory?
I do. I agree. I believe that they want to show themselves to certain people. Maybe they felt a connection with a certain person, so they want to show themselves to that person.
Yeah, I agree.
Or maybe they know somebody who doesn't believe, but they want them to know that something actually is out there, so they're going to show themselves to that person.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, we don't have the answers, and we don't really know why, so everything's a theory at that point.
Right. Well, did I tell you my theory about aliens?
No, I want to hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay. Scientists have discovered that people with the Rh negative blood has a certain type of DNA, alien DNA in there that other blood types do not have.
Right.
So I got to thinking, and back when the dinosaurs became extinct, when they thought a meteor or an asteroid hit the Earth, how do we know that it wasn't some type of alien spacecraft?
Could be. I mean, we don't know.
Because we also had a signal from Andromeda, which they finally deciphered after 24 years of trying to figure this out, that they were talking about war and famine and all this other stuff. How do we know that it wasn't a spacecraft from that galaxy that came through and hit our Earth? I guess we really don't. They could have created with the Neanderthals or whatever, and through bloodlines, it just keeps going. That's my theory.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as good as any theory out there, right?
Right, because once we get past a certain point in space, everything is a theory. Everything, because we don't know.
So, 2021 was a big year for the UFO sightings and the government coming forward, huh?
Right. I seen one in January of 2021, and it is actually listed on the National UFO Registry.
Is that the one that you saw? I don't know if you told me about this. Is this the one that you saw by your campfire there in the backyard?
No, that was another one. Those were like orange lanterns in the sky.
Okay.
The one I seen back at the beginning of the year, I was going to pick my daughter up from work. And it was a little back road that I take, and my cousin was with me. And we looked up in the sky, and it looked like a shooting star. But it was too big to be a shooting star. And there was no trail behind it.
Interesting. Moving fast, huh?
like the speed of light almost. It was there and then it was gone.
Wow.
And so I reported it to the National Registry because I'm like, there was something there and then it was gone. It came down like it was falling. Maybe 2 to 3 seconds was all it was seen in the sky. Then it was gone.
I know around, well, my area, we have all the military bases.
Right.
And we have a lot of weird stuff in the sky here. I know
I'm sure.
I don't know if I told you 2 streets over in my little allotment here, we had a lady snap a picture.
You did tell me about that last time we talked.
Yeah. So,
because you didn't have the opportunity to see it and you had been wanting to see something and you didn't get to see it.
Yeah, right. Now I was picking my son up from work late, way earlier in the year, and he drives now, thank goodness. And and we would drive and we'd see all kinds of weird lights up in the sky. I mean, like, they were way too high to be airplanes, but they would be moving, and we would just literally, we pulled over into a Sphinx one night and walked over to the parking lot next door, and we're looking at this thing. And this actually happened on 2 separate nights, same lights that we saw, 2 separate nights, almost the same exact spot. It was pretty crazy. And then 2 nights later, we were driving home, and that was kind of our thing. We'd look up in the sky and see what we could find, you know.
Right.
So we're driving. We're like, nothing's going on this way. Well, we turn on this old road, and we're just on our way home. We got pine trees on both sides of us, a swamp. We're driving, and all of a sudden, Crystal, the whole road lights up. I mean, the whole entire road lights up, and we're just engulfed in this bright light. Oh
my God.
I slammed on the brakes. It was a helicopter. They were looking for some old lady that had Alzheimer's and got out of the house.
Uh-huh.
And man, I'm telling you what, Crystal, that was a UFO. That's the both of us, we're shitting ourselves when we saw that light. We're like, oh my gosh, it's happening. We're getting taken. This is it. And then I peek my head out the window and I hear the helicopter. I'm like, oh, it's just a helicopter.
Of course.
But it was fun for a second. We went home and told my wife that we saw a UFO, and she looked at us and rolled her eyes, and then we're like, okay, it was a helicopter. But it was a lot of fun.
But for a little bit of time, we thought it was a UFO.
No, we honestly thought we were getting abducted right then and there. We thought it was done. It was taking the whole damn car is what we thought.
You could have told her now, if it had been an alien, you would have missed us.
Yeah, no joke. No joke. No, my kid was like, he's like, Dad, I thought we were getting taken. He's like, I thought that was it. And I was like, so did I, man.
Yeah.
Damn helicopters.
I know it. Well, down at Myrtle's Inlet, a lot of people see a lot of lights over the ocean.
Yeah, they see them there in Myrtle Beach as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just saw photos from there. I think it was in August, in Myrtle, South Myrtle, and it was a triangle shape, and it was more than just the typical 3 lights. It was about 8 or 9, I think.
Uh-huh.
But and these people were in a boat, and they were taking this.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It really is interesting.
Yeah, I know. I went to the library back summertime, and I was wanting to get a copy of the UFO sightings in South Carolina. And so I went on the website, and there's over 1,000 pages of UFO sightings in South Carolina.
Really?
The first one was in 1936.
Oh, wow. That's a really early one.
And Aiken.
Yeah, Aiken and Anderson. I don't know what it is about those two. They got a lot going on in both of those cities.
Well, I live in Anderson County. I'm 20 miles from the city of Anderson.
Okay.
And, there's a lot of stories around here.
Yeah, I saw that story that you posted about the credit union in the municipal building.
Uh-huh.
That was a pretty neat little news story.
Right, and I was kind of surprised, with it being kind of a government type place, that they actually have stories out on, about it.
Yeah, I think that's a place I'd like to check out. Like if I'd lived closer there, that I'd definitely be checking that place out for sure.
Yeah, I know Crybaby Bridge down there in Anderson is really neat.
Yeah, I've been to Crybaby Bridge almost everywhere in Ohio. There's like 19 of them or something like that. But
right. Yeah.
But I haven't been to that one. I'd like to check that out too at some point.
It is. There is a story that goes that if you cross the bridge, well, first you got to stop in the middle of the bridge. There's a new bridge, and you can see the old iron bridge right beside it. And if you stop your car in the middle of the bridge, get out of your car, put your keys on top, say, "I've got your baby," get back in your car, something will happen. So we tried it. I wanted to debunk it, and we started back off, got off the other side of the bridge, and a quarter flew and hit my windshield.
A quarter?
A quarter.
Wow.
I slammed on my brakes. It was like 2:00 in the morning. So there was no traffic. I slammed on my brakes, and there was a quarter sitting on the hood of my car.
Wow. Now that's a creepy one.
Yeah. But of course, I can't prove it because it's a personal experience.
Well, listen, I think that I think it's fun to try to prove some of this stuff, but really, do we really want to know? Because that takes all the fun out of it,
Well, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, for sure. So,
just because you go try to debunk something and it don't happen, and you say, "Well, it's debunked," doesn't mean the next person's going to go through and it don't happen to them.
Very true. Very true. Hey, did we talk about Poogan's Porch the last time you were down?
No, but I have heard about it. It's a restaurant in Charleston with a little dog.
Yeah, a restaurant, and there's supposed to be an old lady that haunts the porch.
Yeah, I think her name is Zoe.
Yeah, I think you're right. But I'd like to check that place out too, because I hear there's all kinds of weird stuff that happens inside as well.
Yeah, like you can feel the dog brush up against your legs, and I know there's been reports of people having to call the police because there was an old lady in the restaurant after hours and nobody being there.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really cool story. I'd like to check that out. And then here in my little town of Somerville, there's an old theater, and it's a very small theater, but it's supposed to be haunted as well.
Well, you've got Park Cemetery too down there.
I don't know anything about that.
I think it's Park Cemetery, but it used to be called Somerville Cemetery, or the opposite way around.
Okay.
But there's a mausoleum that's supposedly haunted in that cemetery.
Huh. I'm going to have to check that out. I'm going to have to do my research on that. I really haven't researched my immediate area because there's so much going on in Charleston that, it's...
I know you've got Charleston and Georgetown, and Beaufort's not far from you.
It's almost impossible to even get through all the stories in Charleston that are happening.
I know. I agree. Yeah.
There's just they're so old. The towns are so old that, of course, there's weird stuff that happens there,
Right. I know. I want to go down to Georgetown to Prince Frederick's Church.
Ooh, I don't know anything about that one either. Tell me about that.
The only thing left of it burnt is the front portico of the church. The guy that built the church, it's also called Old Gun Church. He was so mean to the slaves that when he fell while trying to build the church, they were so scared of him, they left and let him die.
Wow.
They were that scared of him. But there was a bell tower, and you can go there and you can hear the bell ringing. And you can hear a choir singing, and you can hear the man cussing because nobody was coming to help him. But it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out. My next door neighbor is from Georgetown, and He says that it's a really cool place. I need to get out to check Georgetown out.
Yeah, I just know Georgetown stinks.
Oh, does it?
There's a paper mill there, and it smells like sulfur.
Ah, I got you. Got you.
But I love Georgetown, but it stinks.
Well, it smells like pluff mud here, but you get used to it pretty quick.
Well, yeah.
Like it took me a minute to get used to that pluff mud. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? Is there like raw sewage? Like, what's happening? And then everybody's like, no, it's the pluff mud. And I'm like, what the hell is pluff mud? But I want to get up to Pawleys Island too and check out, do some gray man checking.
Oh yeah, down at Pawleys Island. My cousin's grandfather saw him right before Hugo hit. Really?
Now, let's back up a second. Tell us what is going on with Gray Man and Pawleys Island before you tell us the story about your
okay.
Your uncle?
Yeah, he would be my great uncle.
Okay.
Back in the Revolutionary War times, a girl and her fiance and their family were vacationing on Pawleys Island. Well, he was called away to war, and he told her that if anything happened, whether he was dead or alive, he would come back to see her. Well, after the Revolutionary War ended, she had not heard word from him, no telegram, no nothing. She seen this man walking on the beach. Well, the closer she got to him, she could tell it was her fiance. And when she finally got to him, he disappeared right in front of her eyes. But he told her to beware of the weather. So she went back home and she told her family, and she thought that she felt real impending doom, and she told them, she said, I think we should leave. Well, after they left and went inland, a hurricane hit and destroyed every other home on the island except for theirs.
Wow.
So it happened a couple other times with a couple other hurricanes, and so people just, listening to stories said, well, he is warning us to leave the island, and whoever listens or sees him, if they leave, their home is spared.
Wow.
And right before Hugo hit, my great uncle had a house on Pawleys Island, and he seen a gray shadow walking along the beach. He didn't talk to it, but he seen it, and he got him and his wife packed up, and they came back this way. And every house was destroyed but theirs.
Wow. I know that's a big thing around here. Like, people talk about it, during hurricane season, it's almost like the groundhog is up there in Pennsylvania. Yeah. Like if because people, they legit write in the newspapers here whether the gray man was spotted or not.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool, though. I mean, he's there to help, it seems.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a really cool story. I like stories like that.
Yeah.
I know they got a pretty good beer named after the gray man from Pawleys Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It's a really good beer.
Oh, okay. I'm not a very big beer drinker. I like my liquor, but I don't particularly care for beer.
Yeah, I'm Irish, so I kind of like it all, Crystal.
Well, now, I like an Irish car bomb.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff.
I can do the Guinness. I'm not. I can do that. That one's fun.
Guinness is good stuff.
But I like my Jaeger and my Goldschlager and all that.
Goldschlager. I had that for the first time this year. It was different.
Did you? It's a little strong.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
There's like real gold in it.
Oh, there is. There's gold flakes in there. Yeah.
So I heard that if you strain those gold flakes out of your Goldschlager and you take it, you can pawn that for enough money to buy another bottle.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah,
but I might have to try that.
Yeah, I watched this video. These guys do it, and they took it into a pawn shop, and they offered them like $28-$29.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it is. But anyway,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So what else you got going on, Crystal?
Well, other than my paranormal stuff, I have, I've been a jewelry maker for a while.
All
and
right.
so I'm fixing to get a lot of stuff posted up on Facebook to sell. And I've been going around to different flea markets and stuff like that and making pretty good money.
Awesome. Can't beat that. Writing books and
No.
making jewelry. That's the life.
And I can stay at home and make sure my kids are fine and everything's going okay. And I can write, make jewelry and all this, and I'm perfectly happy.
Awesome. So you got the book coming up. You got the jewelry going on. You got an investigation coming up, possibly, maybe too, huh?
Yeah, possibly. I'm hoping there's a lot of stuff. If everything is going on what she says is going on, we should have some pretty good evidence by the end of the night.
Awesome. And the Travis Tritt thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be exciting. Well,
Yes, as soon as I get a date, you'll be the first one I say, hey, this is when we're going to be able to go down there. If you're able to go, be ready.
Sounds like a plan. Well, hey, Crystal, where can everybody find your pages, your Upstate South Carolina Paranormal, and all the good stuff? Where can they get a hold of you if they have something weird going on or a haunting or anything like that?
They can go up on the page, and my phone number's on there, my email's on there, and I am available 24 hours a day.
Awesome. I know you're very responsive. I know that I've hit you up quite a few times at probably all times of the day and night, and you always respond. So
Yeah, I'm always. I'm not a very heavy sleeper, so if my phone goes off and somebody needs help, I'm ready to go.
that's the way to do it. All right.
Heard
Well,
of death.
hey, let me know about the Travis Tritt thing.
I will.
And let me know if you get to do this other investigation. And
I will.
if I hear anything down my way that could be sounding interesting, because from time to time I have people hit me up and say that they had something going on, well, so far it's only been Bigfoot. I've been contacted about Bigfoot about 28 times in the last 3 months down here.
Well, you let me know because Somerville's not that far from me once I hit the interstate.
All right, we'll do for sure. And when that book gets ready to roll out, we're going to have you back on and we're going to talk about the book. I tried not to talk about it too much tonight.
Right, yeah, and you'll be one of the first ones to get a copy of it too. So.
Awesome. I'm excited. All right, Crystal, I really, really, really appreciate you coming back on. I always look forward to talking with you and hearing all the things that you find in your research, because I know that you really dig some stuff up that blows my mind sometimes. So,
well, you are always one of the first ones I let know if I find something like, hey, look at this.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. We're going to do it again.
All right, sounds good to me.
All right, Crystal, I appreciate it. You take care of yourself, and I'm sure I'll be talking with you. We usually talk every couple of days, so I'm sure.
Yeah, we do.
I'm sure we'll talk again here in a couple of days.
All right, you have a good night.
You too, Crystal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that about does it for Dreamland tonight, dreamers. Thanks again for listening, and good night.